Now on the line, we do have the Mayor of the City of Greater Geelong, Councillor Stephanie Asher. Good morning.
Good morning, Mitchell. How are you?
Good, thank you. Well, congratulations, first of all, on being returned as the Mayor for a 2-year term.
Thank you very kindly. It's very exciting.
Now, we were just talking to Libby Coker. I don't know if you heard the tail end of the interview, but she said she's very keen to work with you and Council on recycling and the amount of rubbish that goes to landfill.
Yes, look, we're absolutely focused on that as well. We haven't made any firm plans yet, given that we've only been in the role for less than a week, but getting together this weekend to put our ideas together, put all our heads together as a group, and certainly waste management and the circular economy is number 1, 2 or 3 on our list of things we want to get done.
What do you make of the election result that we saw here in the City of Greater Geelong? Right around us, we've had councils where a lot of the existing councils have essentially been thrown out, whereas here in the City of Greater Geelong, all but one of the incumbents were returned. You massively increased your primary vote down there on the Ballerine, and as a result, you've been also re-elected as Mayor. So people in Geelong voting for the status quo, and that's not the case in other municipalities like Surf Coast.
Yeah, look, it's been really interesting, and I would risk my modesty here by saying I think it's an endorsement of the work that we've been doing. I think our council at City of Greater Geelong has been very community focused. We're all very committed and passionate about our communities. That's why we stepped up after administrators. We're all quite, sort of professional people, but we all thought it's really important that we have a good, strong leadership at City of Greater Geelong and very much about the community and representing the community. So I think that's been a resounding endorsement of that attitude, and we certainly take that into the next 4 years as well. I know everyone's really excited about having a full 4 years to do some planning, so that's really exciting.
It is a full 4-year term, unlike the last 3-year term that you had. What's your vision in 2024, assuming we're all still here and asking these sorts of questions? What will you hope that you've achieved?
Look, I think I'd be able to answer that more effectively from a council group point of view in the next couple of weeks because, as I said, we're getting together this weekend for a bit of a bonding session and putting our heads together. But certainly for me, it's about keeping getting things done. You know, we've got to focus on getting things done, making things happen. We achieved a lot in the last 3 years as a group, and I think we just need to keep making sure we're getting runs on the board, speeding up the processes, particularly with the community infrastructure delivery, so things like the North Ballerine Pool and getting the Northern Aquatic and Community Hub funded and happening, those sorts of big pieces which also lift community morale as well.
And part of that's got to be the COVID-19 recovery. How are we going with that, given we've had, 1 or 2 weeks now where there's been a lot more freedom? And last weekend, of course, people have been able to come down from Melbourne to contribute to the tourism sector.
Yeah, look, I think everybody's doing their bit still. I think we've all understood well how to maintain our COVID safety in the sense of keeping the masks on and maintaining the distance. Obviously, the tourism and hospitality industries are now starting to see some good results, but it's a matter of balancing it, isn't it? And I think, certainly the people down here are aware, and I'm sure people are educating any new arrivals as to how to behave appropriately, but I think it is that balance, and I think we'll get it right. And certainly the council will be focusing on whatever we can do to help that recovery.
What did you make of the pictures that we saw in the Geelong Advertiser yesterday, and also some pictures were circulated on social media where it seemed like people were taking no notice of the sign indicating that the pool down there on the waterfront outside the beach house was closed? They went in and didn't seem to be practicing social distancing. I know there was some concern about what was going on down there at the start of the year with people perhaps camping where they shouldn't be, but what did you make of this time around, some of the concerns there?
It is a difficult one because it is always going to be a bit of a magnet for people because it's such a beautiful space, and that children's pool is obviously an ideal place to be on a beautiful day like it was on Sunday. We do have a few different reports. Some people say the signage blew off, others say the signage was taken off. So, I don't know what the reality is, but certainly the sign was not heated and the pool was not open, which, whether it should have been open, I would say it probably should have been ready and open, but I gather they were doing some maintenance, which is due to finish very soon. So, look, the city officers did move people on and they had the need for some security down there just to make sure that people do maintain their distance. But it is a tricky one because it's usually lifeguards down there, and lifeguards shouldn't need to operate also as, receptionists taking numbers for COVID-safe reasons, nor should they have to operate as security, really. So it's getting that balance right, make sure everybody can have a good time, but do so safely.
Are there normally council staff or rangers or officers or whatever it is patrolling the area like that on busy days to make sure that people aren't camping or anything like that?
I don't think it's a standard practice to have a patrol as such, but I think people are available to be on hand if they're needed. But it's actually, if it's a crowd control issue, it's a police issue. Our officers are local laws officers, not in terms of people breaking laws, then that's a police issue, not a council issue.
I see. So the council wouldn't enforce things like social distancing, you'd leave that up to the police?
Correct, yep.
Now, another concern that's been raised anecdotally is just the number of mosquitoes that are around, particularly down there on the coast. And I'm not the only. I experienced this a little bit. I almost got eaten alive by sandflies. I don't know if the spraying covers sandflies as well. But a lot of people have been saying there's a bit of an increase in mosquitoes this year. Are we still spraying? And I spoke to Simon Ramsey yesterday. He said maybe there's some concerns about the cancer cluster allegations down in Barwon Heads. What is the council spraying program?
Okay, now there's always going to be a significant rise in mozzies when it rains, okay, and they're sort of cyclical in that they have their larvae and it takes, I don't know, a week or 14 days or whatever for them to hatch. So this is something I've been asking about since I moved to Ocean Grove 20 years ago. Because every year we have this sort of influx of huge mosquitoes descend on us. And the council program is an ongoing program, and they do use biological products which are targeted specifically at mosquito larvae, so they probably won't get you sandflies, I don't think, but without adversely impacting people, other animals, or generally the environment. So what they do use is actually approved by the Australian Pesticides and Veterinary Medicines Authority, and it wouldn't be anything to do with the cancer cluster conversation at this point.
So we just have to put up with it for a few more weeks and hopefully things will be back under control.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're spraying at the moment, and there's, large bodies of water. I don't know. I do a lot of driving between Torquay and Ocean Grove and Geelong and Ocean Grove, and there's lots of water lying around at the moment. So, that obviously is the breeding ground. But what people can do is just make sure that you don't have water in your drains, water in buckets, water pools around your home, because they do breed really quickly, and they're those little wriggly things in the water. So tip over your containers of water that have collected rainwater, because that actually has a really big impact, a local impact on your own property if you can manage to get rid of sort of sitting water.
Now, parking and enforcement. We were talking to your predecessor about the future of parking, and he spoke about that there were going to be vehicles with cameras on them patrolling and not so much the chalk anymore. But it seems like I have seen that vehicle around a bit, but I haven't seen it for a while, and I see a lot more officers walking around with chalk now. Have we given up on the cameras and are we going back to chalk?
No, the cameras are in sync with the meters, and the meters have all been switched off at the moment because we've got the free parking as part of the COVID recovery. So at the moment, the officers are using chalk, but once the meters are turned back on, then the technology, the number plate recognition technology will be back.
In terms of the mayoral vote, a few people have been asking, was it contested behind the scenes? Did someone else want to be mayor? How did the deputy mayor position come about? Can you give us a bit of an insight into what that discussion was like?
Bit of a description of the night of the long knives. It was actually unopposed, so both were unanimous and unopposed, so that was quite good. Deputy mayor was interesting, but certainly the mayoral piece.
And Kylie Grizzleback just decided she wanted to do something else, did she?
Yeah, look, Kylie had said from day one that she wouldn't be putting her hand up for deputy again this time because she's got family and work commitments, and I think they'd probably all reached the end of their tether after the 2 years, or the year as deputy, so she didn't put her hat in the ring this time. And
portfolios, are we going to have them in this term?
Again, that's something that we're talking about this weekend. I've got a list drafted at the moment. I put the note out yesterday morning to all the councillors saying to name their passions and tell me what they wanted to be involved in. So we'll probably have more portfolios rather than fewer this time, and some of them might not be big all-encompassing portfolios, more a case of if there's a specific area of passion, then the specific councillor can be the commentator on that particular issue or focus area. So, yeah, open it up a little bit.
All right, well, welcome back, and I think we've got a few more sessions before we wrap up for the year on this program, so really looking forward to finding out how the planning session goes and what the long-term vision is. But thank you very much, and good luck for the next 4 years.
Thank you, Mitchell. It's lovely to be back and talking to you.
Good on you. Thank you very much, Councillor Stephanie Asher there, the Mayor of the City of Greater Geelong.